Treat yourself like someone that you're responsible for helping. Today I was journaling and I said that now that I am no longer an enemy to self, it creates space for helping and healing. The battle will always need fighting in the performance and audience when it's you versus you. When we neglect who we are, we also neglect who we're becoming. This is more to say that the journey is admirable, but it's who you become with each step that you take. Furthermore, it's the fact that you're responsible for taking the hike in the first place. And something that I feel like is really rooted, this is like really rooted in the Bible, is Mark 5. Mark 5, and it starts at verse 25 all the way to verse 34. Mark chapter 5, verse 25 through 34, and it begins and it says, "Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, right? So she's bleeding, and had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." Verse 29 says, "Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, 'Who touched my clothes?' But his disciples said to him, 'You see a multitude thronging you, and you say, Who touched me?' And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, 'Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction.'" And this story always speaks to me because, one, it shows just how much faith is required, right? How much faith, the amount of faith that she has, knowing that she's tried a multitude of things, and didn't get any better, but rather grew worse. But then when she turned from seeking man's help into seeking the Lord's help, that's when she was healed of her affliction. Then it also goes into this last bit where he says, "Daughter, your faith has made you well." It's her faith that doing such a thing, that touching his clothes, was the thing that was going to heal her. Not her asking Jesus to heal her, not him laying hands on her, not him praying for her, but simply just the faith that if I can touch the one that I know is a healer, if I can just touch the healer, not a doctor, but the healer, that I will too be healed. And he says to her, even though she's afraid of what may happen, when she tells him the whole truth, he says to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." And we have some afflictions happening for us. And what this is to me is a call to action to change your mindset, change your situation, even if you've gone through a multitude of things that didn't work, that not only did it not work, but it made things rather worse. That if we go to the one who created all things, if we go to the healer, that we too can be healed. That our fountain can too be dried. But the only way that this can happen for us is us to be willing to go in pursuit of our healing, of us to be willing to be in pursuit of the things that we know to be true. Because imagine if you were in her situation, or imagine if you are going through an affliction, or you're going through trials and tribulations, a difficult time for 12 straight years, and you spent all that you had and it didn't get any better, but rather it grew worse, what does your faith look like? What does your faith look like? If anything else, if we just want to be convicting here, if anything else, do it for 12 years and then come talk to me. Do it for 12 years. This woman went through many things for 12 years. In her 12th year is where she was healed. In her 12th years when she was healed from her affliction. In the 12th years when she got her breakthrough, when she got the blessing. I think a lot of us were just too early. We're too early. We're praying for the healing, but do you have the faith that you'll be healed? And I'm not here to say any of these to say that, you know, what you're going through isn't valid. What I'm here to say is the journey for her that led up to her going to Christ for the healing. It's the journey. She tried physicians first. She spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. She went to the physicians first. But through the journey, her faith had to be built, had to be fortified that she could be healed. Even after 12 years, even after a decade and some change, she still had faith that she could be healed. And I need you to start treating yourself like you're responsible for helping yourself. Treat yourself like you're responsible for you. I think many times we're waiting on that. Someone else to heal us, someone else to help us. But it wasn't until she went in the pursuit of the healing, not someone coming to her to save her, but she had to go to Christ. She had to go to the healing. I talked about it yesterday, I believe, with just changing your environment. It's hard to be what you never see. What's also hard to get, it's hard in general, right? But it's even more difficult when you're not being a helping hand. It's even more difficult when you're your own roadblock, your own wall, your own tree in the road, your own stumbling stone. When you are versus you. Instead of you helping you. And if anything else, I feel like you can really grasp from her story how to simply just be willing to help you. Cause it ain't nobody coming. Like, Jesus didn't go to her, she went to him. So when we look at the equation of how to get breakthrough, when we look at the equation, it's each step that you take on the journey. But first, realizing that you're the one that's responsible for taking the hike in the first place. You're the one responsible for going along the path. The way creates itself. You just have to be willing to start. You just have to be willing to put aside all limiting beliefs. The way that the woman she had to put aside all limiting beliefs. Because if you looked at her track record, she had 12 years of it not working. 12 years of trial and error. But to believe that this is the year, to believe that this is a God did it year, to believe that everything can change in this year alone, to believe that if you just get closer, if you just get in proximity to the things that you are trying to accomplish, to the things that you're trying to be healed from to the things that to the people that you're trying to be surrounded by, if you just get closer, if you just show up every single day, that through your obedience and your discipline and your consistency and your faith, that you continually have, that on the other side of that, That's your input, but on the other side, what's the byproduct? Is breakthrough. Breakthrough is on the other side of consistency, on the other side of obedience, on the other side of discipline. It's on the other side. I love that her breakthrough is only possible by having crazy faith when nobody else can see it. I'm sure that the physician said, we've done all we can. It's no way for you to be healed. I'm sure she's probably had people that don't even want to take her money anymore. She don't even got none. So they probably look at her and say, oh, we feel bad for you. We don't even want to take another dime from you because we cannot help you. And this is where I want to say that God should always be your first response and not your last resort. But I also want to add this, that it shouldn't be you versus you, but it should be you and you. Because when you are on your side, then you no longer are in the way. That you no longer stop you. You no longer prevent you, but you push you. You push you to keep moving forward. You encourage you. You motivate you. And you set the systems. You set the routine. You set whatever is necessary for you to rise to the level of your desire. She had a desire to be healed. Instead of just wishing upon a star, she rose to the level of her desire, that if she could just touch the hem of his garment, if she could just touch Jesus' clothes, that she knew that she would be healed. What does your faith look like? That if you know that if you just did this for this amount of days, that if you just did this for this amount of years, that this could happen for you. That if you just put this down and pick this up, that this could happen for you. What does your faith look like? Because in reality of it all, it takes you. Just like it took her and so many others, just like it took me, it always takes you. Show your faith by your works. She just wasn't idle with her faith, that she knew somehow, some way it was going to happen for her. And she just stopped there. No, not only did she know that it could happen, but she knew that if she could just meet Jesus in the right place at the right time and she could touch him, that she would be healed of her affliction. So my question to you is, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to get to be healed of your affliction? What are you willing to do? Whatever that looks like, you know better than I. But in the end, the only way that that's possible is if you no longer are an enemy to self, but rather a helping hand. So please, treat yourself like you're responsible for helping yourself, because you are. And if you've made it to the end of this video, like always, I appreciate you. I appreciate you if you like these videos and you actually like them. I appreciate that. I appreciate every comment. All the new people, just let me know if you've been rocking with me since way back when, or just from the beginning of this new year, or maybe this is the first video you ever seen. Just let me know where you're from. Let me know how far you are on your journey. Hopefully the things that I'm learning and I'm sharing with you is helping you in a positive way. Regardless of where you are, regardless of what you believe, that this is leading you down the right path. So, because it's a journey that we all have to take. You just have to be willing to take the first step and then all the steps after. But in the end, I say this, just do what you can do. Do all that you can do with all the time that you have. Something that I've been saying has been allowing me, especially in this year specifically, to achieve and accomplish so much more. Because I'm no longer looking at the mountain itself as this vast, large, unmountable thing. But now I'm looking at it as just a step-by-step process that I don't have to try to jump from the bottom all the way to the top, but that I can just take one step at a time, and eventually along this long journey I'll get there. And I know that the view will be amazing. So hopefully I'll see you on top. But other than that, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.